Probably all of us, at one time or other, have encountered something that was hard to explain. It might be the feeling of being followed or watched, or the hearing of mysterious sounds in the night. It might be a vision of something that wasn't there at all. This is a story of a something which apparently wasn't there, even though more than one person was sure that it was. The time was some years ago. The place, the Caribbean, where I was on a patrol cruiser trying to apprehend some smugglers. The little cruiser was hidden in a tiny palm-ringed cove one night, awaiting the appearance of a certain small schooner, known to be in operation in the area. The only light came from the stars and a blinker buoy at sea, beyond the entrance to the cove. The moon was down, but by the light of the stars we could distinguish between sea and sky and shoreline. We watched, and we waited. An hour or so past midnight, one of the crew spotted the dark shape of a small sailboat appearing above the beach by the cove entrance. Soon the silhouette of a little boat, silent and dark, passed in front of us, blotted out the blinking light from the buoy, and disappeared behind the point of land to the right of the cove. It might be our quarry. We pulled up the anchor, started the engines, and moved silently out of the cove, turning south along the coast and keeping close to shore. Ahead of us, also close to shore, we could faintly see the outline of the schooner beating along under a stiff onshore breeze. As we gained upon the boat ahead, we prepared for what might be more than just routine checking of a vessel without legal lights. A belt of ammunition was fed into the machine gun on our bow. Sidearms and rifles were passed up from the gun lockers below, and the spray cover was removed from the big searchlight atop the cabin roof. Our procedure in such a contact was to snap on the powerful beam and then close in for whatever action was required, depending upon what the glare of the searchlight revealed. A small schooner without running lights beating close to shore late at night could mean most anything. A careless skipper with a fine disregard for regulations, a forgetful crew coming home from a celebration in one of the small villages, or it could be the schooner that we were after. We drew close to the silhouetted schooner, swung to windward of it so that our boat would cut the wind and slow the boat ahead, and snapped on our big beam. There was absolutely nothing there. We swung our huge beam of light around the area, even up and down, but our quarry had vanished. What had we seen? Or what had we thought we had seen? Perhaps you have experienced strange previews of future events. These premonitions, or coincidences as some prefer, are often startling and very realistic. One such alarming glimpse into the future was experienced by the wife of a Swedish industrialist. One night in 1939, Mrs. Axel Wenner-Gren started up the stairs on her way to bed. It was past midnight, and most of the lights had been extinguished. Only at the landing at the top of the stairs was it still bright. Suddenly, a figure appeared before her on the top of the stair. It was a man, drenched to the skin as though he had been swimming. In his arms he held the body of a child. Across the child's forehead was a deep cut, which was bleeding. Mrs. Wenner-Gren screamed, and the figures vanished. Upset and shaken, she described the apparition to her husband. He decided that she was suffering from nerves and suggested that they go off on a trip on their yacht, the Southern Cross. Shortly afterward, on the night of September 3rd, the yacht went to the aid of the Athenia, one of the first ships to be torpedoed in World War II. The very first person to come aboard the yacht was a drenched man, holding out before him the body of a dying child with a deep gash across the forehead. The exact same figures the woman had seen before, at the head of her stairs at home. Did you ever wonder what becomes of old radio and TV programs that are sent out into space 24 hours a day? Do they just fade out and vanish? Or do they keep traveling through space forever, perhaps to be picked up by creatures on other planets? Possibly some of the weird sounds that we hear are really programs or commercials from other planets. Scientific listening posts have put some mighty odd sounds from space on tape, which might be from some sort of intelligence somewhere. Some make no sense at all. Perhaps those are the commercials. In the early days of television, some sets retained a picture long after the program was over. Even today, words from a commercial linger after the advertisement has left the screen. And occasionally, another channel's picture will appear for a few seconds. But what about the pictures that mysteriously appear long after the program has finished? In September 1953, many television screens in England suddenly carried the identification card and call letters of TV station KLEE in Houston, Texas, thousands of miles across the Atlantic. The image stayed on the screen long enough for several viewers to take pictures of the remarkable occurrence. Even years later, TV signals would often fade out after about 150 miles unless helped along with electronic devices and relay stations. But in 1953, that wouldn't have been possible. What really startled the TV world was the fact that when the British broadcasting engineers contacted KLEE in Houston to tell them of the unusual event, they learned that the station had been off the air for 3 years. Phantom ships and vanished crews have always added to the mystery of the seven seas. On a strip of land near Newport, Rhode Island, there was a little settlement known as Easton's Beach. Only a few farmers and some fishermen and their families made their homes there. One day in 1880, a fisherman working on his boat near shore suddenly sighted a full-rigged ship of good size heading straight for land. He thought it very odd that such a large ship under full sail should make no attempt to turn away or head along the coast. But it was coming steadily and directly for shore in the onshore breeze. He called to the other fishermen nearby and ran to the settlement above the beach to tell the rest of the people about the approaching vessel. Soon everyone was on the beach, watching in helpless silence as the strange ship came on as though determined to wreck itself, its canvas straining and flags snapping at their mastheads. With horror, the spectators heard the grating of the hull upon the bottom as it struck. Yet the ship still bore down, keeping straight on course as it cut a keel groove in the sandy ocean bottom. When it finally came to rest, it was still on an even keel, with the bowsprit almost above their heads. That's when they recognized the ship. It was the Seabird, under the able command of Captain John Husham. Not a sound came from below the decks. At once the crowd went on board to explain the mystery, but it only deepened. Coffee still boiled on the galley stove. Food for breakfast was on the table. All navigation instruments and charts were in order. Yet, there was no trace of the crew, nor any indication of when, why, or where they had gone. The only living thing aboard the Seabird was a mongrel dog shivering on the deck. The sea had been calm, the breeze fine, and the Seabird had been almost exactly on course for Newport. The crew must have left only shortly before the ship appeared on the horizon. But why should they have left the ship when they were so close to home and their families? Only heaven and a mongrel dog knew what had happened aboard the Seabird that sunny morning.